Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. Today we're setting up the Petbank automatic fish feeder. If you travel often or if you just want to make your daily routine a bit easier, this little machine is super handy. And the setup is way simpler than it looks. So let's start by unboxing the product. Inside you get the automatic fish feeder itself, which is basically ready to use right away. You'll also find a small plastic spoon for adding your fish food later and a USB-C charging cable. And there's an important note here. There's no charging plug included, so you need to use your own USB-C power adapter to actually charge the feeder. This is important if you're about to leave for a vacation and don't have a charging plug at hand. You can actually not use the product since the battery level is quite low when it arrives. So make sure you have one. Alright, so let's dive into the settings. I'll walk you through everything step by step, just like in the user manual, but in a way that's easier to follow. First step is to power it on. To turn on the feeder, or turn it off actually, you have to long press the power button for about 3 seconds. The display will then light up when it's on and shut off when you power it down. Next step is the clock setting. This one is pretty straightforward if you know how to do it. First, you long press the setting button for 3 seconds, then the hour number starts flashing. You can use the up or down arrows, number 5 or number 10 button, to set the hour. Then you can press the setting button again to set the minutes the same way. And to save some time, you can press the manual button or press setting once more to continue directly into the feeding schedule, which is also our next step, the feeding time setting. For that, you have to press the setting button again, and then the hour for timer 1 will start flashing. Use the arrows to choose the time you want your fish to be fed. Then press setting again to set the minute. For example, if you want your fish to eat at 7:06 AM, you'll set it to 7 and then 06. Quite straightforward, I would say. And in total you have 3 different timers, and the system or the machine will automatically lead you through all 3 time slots that you can choose. Now, step 4 is the feeding amount setting. First, you press setting again and you'll see a little square flashing. This square determines how many feeding rounds the feeder will do at this time. 1 black spot means 1 feeding round, 2 spots mean 2 rounds, 3 spots mean 3 rounds. And no spot means that this timer is disabled. This is, for instance, the case if you only want your fish to be fed twice or once a day, then you would disable 1 or 2 spots. Then you press setting again to set a timer 2 and again for timer 3, or press the manual button to save everything and exit. And later on I will show you a super easy trick to set it to the default settings that are actually working quite well in just 2 seconds. But first of all, we'll continue with the feeding interval setting. And this is also a very clever feature. You have to press the up and down arrow buttons at the same time, and then a number from 1 to 4 will appear. 1 means that you feed every 1 day, so let's say Monday, Wednesday and Friday you would feed. 2 means that you feed every 2 days. And if no number appears, the feeder will feed every single day. This is the setting by default. This is super handy if you have fish that don't need daily feeding, or if you're on vacation for quite a long time, because there's only a certain amount of food that you can actually put in there, or also a certain amount of feedings that you can put in there. Then there's also a manual feeding option. This is if you want to feed your fish instantly and don't want to touch the fish food, you can just press the manual button on the feeder and it will do 1 round on the spot. And now, what I promised before, there's also 2 shortcut options. Shortcut 1, you can long press the up arrow for 5 seconds and then the machine automatically sets feeding at 8 AM and 8 PM. And this comes in very handy if you don't want to think about anything and if your lights on your aquarium are turned on from 8 to 8. Basically, this is the absolute standard setting. Shortcut 2 is very similar, but you long press the down arrow for 5 seconds and this would reset everything to the factory settings. Now that the feeder is programmed, let's mount it on the aquarium. I'm first installing it on my main South America aquascape tank. This feeder works incredibly well with open top aquariums. Just place it on a glass edge and tighten the adjusting screw until it's firmly secured. It won't slip and you can position it exactly where you want your food to drop. I'll also show you how it looks on my small shrimp tank with thinner glass. Same principle, works just the same. And now that we've installed everything, here's a live demo of the feeder running on my South America tank. It's surprisingly fun to watch. First, the little lid opens, then the drum rotates and boom, the food drops right where it needs to be. My apistogramas and platyfish absolutely love this thing. And honestly, maybe they prefer it over me, because this feeder gives them food without a hairy dude standing in front of them while talking into a camera. And maybe a last note that is very important before you set it up for vacation, I would recommend to you to plug it into the charger for at least 2 or 3 hours, just to make sure that there's enough juice in the battery so you can go on vacation without worrying about the battery running low. And now, before we wrap up, a huge thank you to my channel members. Dottie, JP, Julius and Belgian Bucks. Your monthly support helps me to keep this channel running and I appreciate all of you so much. If you want to see how I built the South America aquascape that you saw in this video, the full build is right here on the right. Or if you haven't watched it yet, you can check out the last video I've uploaded to the channel. Thanks for watching and see you guys in the next one.